All right. Well, thank you for joining us today. This is another edition of our Navigating the Coronavirus Economy series. And I am very thrilled and excited to welcome with us Matt Banker with Banker Creative. And Matt has a fantastic background in marketing, branding, copywriting, and so much so that I love this title. How to market your business when times are weird. And if there was ever a weird time in business, I would have to say now is that time. Really thankful for everyone joining us in today. But Matt is a great presentation. Yvonne will be managing she'll be managing the questions as they come through. So if people have questions, we'll go ahead and ask questions through the chat box, or notify Yvonne, and we'll make sure to ask Matt about those as those are coming through. I think with that, Matt, what I'd like to do is turn things over to you so that you can go ahead and get started. So without further ado, Matt Banker with Banker Creative.
Hey everybody, yeah, it's great to be here, and I'm excited. Thanks, Tom, for inviting me. And Tom and I have had the pleasure to work on a couple projects in the past. And as I was putting this together, this idea that we're all, as business owners, we're dealing with the moment, right? We don't know, and nobody knows. This is all of us, but this series that Tom is doing is really great. It's one of the sorts of things that I'm advising other clients. Get on video and be available for other people. I think that really when you put yourself out there and are generous with your time and the information, the knowledge that you have, that's really one of the best things to do in marketing your company. I'm going to jump in here to my presentation, and I like Tom said, I like this title. When times are weird, we're in a crisis. But it's not that. It's a crisis, but it's an unpredictable one, right? It's not a typical recession or other things, and so we're all trying to figure out what to do as we go along. We're kind of making it up, but that's not to say there aren't some best practices. There aren't some things that you can really focus on and do well. So the first thing is, things are not normal, and they're not going to be normal for a while. And this is something just to be aware of as you're thinking about your own company. We don't know if as states open up and every company is different. Even as we try to get back to normal, it's going to take a long time. And so as you market, we're moving into a different type of economy, really. Even if it bounces back, it's not going to be the same economy as before, and that's fine. There's a lot of opportunity when things are not normal. It's the time that new businesses are started. There's a lot of innovation that's going on. So in a lot of ways, it can be scary as a business owner, but it can be a really great opportunity. So I tend to be optimistic about myself, but a little bit, in some ways I try to be somewhat pessimistic or realistic, and just trying to anticipate that things, I don't want to go back to my business from February or January of this year. I want to be thinking about what's going to be happening on the other side, and where are we going to move in the future. So the first thing really right now is that businesses have a one specific goal, right? Our first goal is to survive, and that's not to be pessimistic, but we're trying to figure out, how do we keep bringing in revenue? How do we keep building our customer base, or reaching new people? And that's really the number one thing. And here's the truth: businesses that stop marketing are going to have a harder time surviving. The tendency the fear that we all have, I think, is to cut back on everything that's not essential. And a lot of times it feels like, well, maybe marketing isn't that essential. You know, I gotta pay my people, or I gotta pay my vendors. But marketing is more essential than ever when you're trying to survive. It's not one of those things that should be first on the cutting block, even though it may feel like that's something that you want to cut right at the beginning. It's one of those budgets that doesn't, you know, it can feel a little bit like, I don't want to say a gamble exactly, but sometimes it's not always sure, you know, if I put money into Facebook ads, is that going to turn into sales or whatever else? And so that's something, I think that a lot of those questions of how you spend your money, those are really important to be thinking about. But the first thing I would say is think really hard before you decide, I'm going to cut my marketing budget because it doesn't seem essential right now. I was reading an article the other day that was just talking about how in the last recession, after the housing bust, it was the companies that doubled down on their marketing that came out stronger. You know, none of us are, you know, in that huge, you know, Target level business, but they use Target as an example of a company that when the last recession hit, even though buying was down, they invested more in marketing and they developed loyal customers in that time. And then for about a decade, they were just growing like gangbusters. And so that's one of the pieces that we're thinking about. Now, I will say I'm a marketer, right? So the tendency is for me, you know, you may think, well, this is a guy who obviously benefits when other companies market. And so I think that that's true. I want marketing to be an important thing right here. But when I started my business that I take, I really try the standpoint of my customers and what's going to be best for them. I've never enjoyed being a person who does, you know, a hard sell or who's trying to convince someone to buy something that they don't need. The goal is always just to make sure that I can help my customers grow their business and do the thing that's best for them. So I am spending more money on marketing now for my company than I was before coronavirus. I'm spending more time. You know, Tom and I were just talking about this. You know, sometimes you have to work twice as hard for half of the results in the short term, but that's something that's going to pay off in the long term. And that's just what small businesses do. And that's what businesses that get through these difficult times are doing the most. So I want to talk just real quick about, there's a difference between marketing and branding. This is really it's a big question. There's a lot of debate from different experts and companies out there. The short version that I want to talk about is marketing are the activities that are directly related to bringing in revenue for your company. It's the stuff that's going to get you actual sales. And branding is more of the type of stuff that you do that's going to build your reputation or build your the awareness in a more general sense. Now that's my definition, or that's a definition of marketing versus branding. But as a company right now, I'm going to guess that most of you need to focus on marketing and not on branding. It's more important to be doing the things that are going to get sales than it is to do the things that are going to bring awareness. But for some businesses, that's not really an option. If you, because of your state or because of the circumstances, just can't get customers in the door, you don't want to stop talking to them right now, but you do want to be doing some branding that's going to build trust for your company so that on the other side, you're going to have loyal customers. The other thing that you want to think about is just thinking about your own business. Are you in a position where you need to be primarily pivoting to take advantage of the current situation and get more sales? Or do you need to be thinking about your company as best positioned to prepare for the other side of the coronavirus situation? So I'll give an example. One of our clients does a lot of, they do arbitration and mediation between companies. And right now they know that there's a lot of conflicts, you know, between companies that may have contracts that had to be broken or changed. And so they know they're going to have a lot of work but the number of leads that they have right now is pretty slow. So they've decided, we know our industry is strong. People are going to need our product more than ever after this is done. And so we want to make sure that we're best positioned to take advantage of that when the time comes. On the other hand, a lot of businesses are pivoting. They're taking their traditional sales model and they're finding a different way to do business. You know, restaurants are doing obviously more takeout and delivery. Some of them didn't even have online ordering before this all happened, but that's become the thing that they need to do. They need to be able to pivot and do something different in their sales. And so I try to take a realistic perspective on that. It's not going to be the same for every business, but you really need to know what is our focus right now. So if you're in the prepare boat, then you shouldn't be afraid of spending money to prepare well for the future, because you know that's going to pay off in the long term. If you believe in your business in the long term, now's a great time. Some of you have more time than ever to spend thinking about your business, thinking about, you know, your website or your processes or the systems that are going to make you more competitive in the future. This might be the perfect time to be doing that. Okay, so let's talk about just what you should be doing. Now, I take a perspective first that the way that you communicate. So I'm going to start a little bit abstract, and then I'm going to move towards some more practical things. So the first thing that you should be thinking about is that the human brain is always, you're just scanning the environment for things that are going to help you survive and thrive. It's just a natural, like, biological thing that we're all doing. And that's really important to think about right now, because most humans are lower down on that, like, Maslow's hierarchy of needs than they were before coronavirus. We're not thinking about self-actualization nearly as much as we're thinking about, you know, food and shelter. And so what people are doing is they're looking for, what are the companies, what are the products, what are the things that are going to actually help me survive and thrive. And that's not to say we've descended into some sort of, every man for himself state. You know, community and connection is also very important for human survival. And so people are really attracted to that. But you need to really think about your business and your product and understand, is this something that is really going to help people at some of those more basic needs? Or how can I position and communicate about my business in a way that does connect with them? The other thing that is just incredibly to think about all the time is that the human brain is also trying constantly to conserve calories. And so what this means is that we have a limited attention span. We have a limited amount of energy that we can put towards, you know, that constant scanning. And so if we don't understand something quickly and easily, if we don't understand how it's going to help us survive or thrive, it's not something that we pay attention to. And so the key to good marketing all the time, but especially in a crisis or in this coronavirus time, is to be clear and to be simple in the way that you communicate. So you don't ask your customers to think too hard about what it is that you offer and how it's going to help them. So here's my best advice for people when they're marketing. And this is something that I believe in all times is important, but is especially important now. And that's to make your customer the hero, and that you want to play the guide. And what that means is that you need to focus on your customers' problems, not on the features that you offer to them. So there's a great commercial out there, or it's like a series of commercials by a dog food brand. And what they start off by saying is, like, you are the, like, thunder comforter and the food giver, and you're the hero to your pet. You're the perfect pet owner. You do such a great job. And so because you want to be a great pet owner, you should be giving them this really great food. And it basically takes their customers and just shows them, you know, we have empathy, we have respect for you, and we think you're the greatest. And that's why we want to give you this product, so that you can continue to be the hero to your pet, the hero in your story. And when you center the customer as the hero, and you come along as the guide, it's a way to develop trust. And it's as simple as recognizing we all see ourselves as the central player in our own story. You know, we're the hero of the movie that is our life. And we're all looking for other people who can help us accomplish our goals. And as a business, your job is to show how you fit into the customer's story and not so much trying to just promote and talk about your own story. You want to be a trustworthy guide. When you focus on your customers' problems, they pay attention to you. If you meet someone at a party and this is an example I always talk about. So we do a lot of websites. If I meet someone at a party and they ask me, you know, what do you do? And I say, well, you know, we build websites. That customer is probably going to think, well, I have a website, but you know, some guy built it. It probably cost me a lot of money. It's not getting many sales, but I don't need a website. I already got one of those. So instead, if I meet someone at a party and I say, well, they ask me, what do you do? And I say, well, everybody has a website. The problem is most companies aren't making any money from their website. So we help companies turn their website into a profit generator instead of just something that costs money. Now, all of a sudden they think, oh, I've got a website, but it's not making me money. And they're going to remember me because I have a solution to a problem that they have. The problem they had wasn't that they needed a website. It was that they needed to make more money from their website. So you want to focus primarily on speaking to the problems that you solve for your customers, not just the solutions that you offer. All right, the second thing that you should be doing is you should be communicating with clarity. So this is a thing I've been thinking a lot for restaurants and other businesses that are closed down right now. A lot of businesses are doing some form of business, but a lot of people don't know how to do business with them very well. And it's because those companies are not communicating very clearly. They may have a big sign that says we're open, or you know, we're open for takeout, we're open for curbside pickup. But that's not usually enough to help people understand exactly how to do business with them. And so now more than ever, you need to be communicating really clearly. You don't ever want them to wonder what the process is going to look like. You need to spell it out incredibly clearly. So if you're doing social media posts, what I would suggest is that you just get on there and you say, here's exactly how you do business with us. You're going to go to our website, you're going to put it in an order, and then we're going to deliver it to your door. Or you're going to give us a call and we're going to set up a discovery call, and then we're going to put together a proposal. Make it very clear, make it very short, and then communicate repeatedly. Use the same language and use the same ideas over and over again. I think this is attributed to Mark Twain, but there's a quote where he says, "If I had more time, I would write a shorter letter." Writing clearly and writing in very short copy it's a discipline, it's a practice, and you get better with it over time, but it's really effective with your marketing. Never make your customers wonder how to do business with you. Always make it super clear. All right, the third thing that you need to be doing is you need to be communicating empathy and authority in this time. So this goes back to this idea of, you know, we're all looking for connection, and we're looking for those basic survival things. I think that this is a great time as business owners to put yourself out there as that guide. A lot of it, you know, not every business owner likes to be the face of their organization, but right now, like, having that human connection behind the business is a really important thing. You want to be building trust with your customers and building loyalty as much as you can. Empathy is really just saying, you know, you've been there, or I've been there. I understand what you're going through, and making that like human to human connection with your customers. That's why if you turn on the TV right now, every company out there is putting out a commercial that says, you know, we're in this together. We're doing this with you. We're there for you. And what I would say is, I think that those commercials, I think that idea, it's the sentiment is good, but a lot of times, what's missing is actually making, this is going back to my first point, what's missing is making the customers the hero. It's always like, I don't really care if my Lexus dealer is there for me. That's not something that that really matters to me. But if I can show empathy, just say like I'm a Lexus dealer, which I'm not, but if I can show empathy and say, you know, this is a hard time, but instead of centering myself and saying I'm there for you, talking about how the customer, like talking more about the customer's problems and centering them in my marketing, I think that that's going to be a lot more effective. All right, number 4, over communicate. None of us really like getting emails in our inbox from companies, but it works and it's important. Communicate consistently and often. They say that most people need 7 points of contact before they make a purchase. And so don't think, this kind of goes to that communicate clearly piece as well. Don't think that saying something once is enough. You need to be consistent. You need to be consistent in the messaging you use, and you need to communicate it over and over again. And so you should be sending out, if you have an email list, you should be sending out once a week, twice a week, 3 times a week to your customers. As long as you're not seeing more people disengage or drop off your list, there's not really a limit to how many times you can communicate with them. Obviously, there's a lot of different businesses out there and on this call, and so I don't know everybody, you know, where you're coming from, but in this time, don't worry about over communicating, just worry about not communicating enough. Okay, this is the practical one that I want to tell everyone right now. If I could give you one piece of advice in the time of coronavirus, I would say you want to build your email list. Email lists are something that I don't know if it's not controversial, but a lot of people are hesitant to try to build an email list because you're not sure what to do with it. If you're a brick and mortar company, or if you do most of your sales through, you know, networking and one-on-one connections, you probably, before all this started, were a bit skeptical about, you know, why do I need a strong email list? You know, why does an ice cream shop need an email list? Well, now that coronavirus has hit, you don't have that foot traffic that you used to have. You don't have the same, like, people aren't just going out to purchase. If you had an email list, you would have an avenue to communicate with the customers who aren't showing up on your doorstep anymore. And so the best time to build an email list would have been 6 months ago, but the second best time to build your email list is today. And if you don't have that as part of your marketing plan, almost whatever your business is, you should be working on building an email list. Social media is great for getting likes and clicks and even shares, but it doesn't compare to email when it comes to actually getting people to make purchases for sales. And so your email list is going to be something like 10 times more effective in terms of getting people to actually take action than anything that you do on social media. So all of the other things that you're doing, if I had to say, you know, one goal with everything that you're doing is to get more people onto your email list. So when you're communicating with empathy, when you're communicating clearly, when you're centering your customer as the hero, all of those things, you're doing all of that work around the primary goal of building your list. An email list gives you options, especially when people are social distancing or sheltering in place. It gives you ways to get into their life. You don't have to remember that. They don't have to remember to come to your website or to your store. You can send information out to them. And so that's what I would say your practical goal should be. All right. Those are all, like I said, those are a bit more abstract in terms of how you want to think about marketing. And so what I want to do now is I want to shift into something just a little bit more practical, which is thinking about what are the tactics that you should be using in this time. So the goal is building your list, but how do you do that? Okay, so the first thing is your website. Get those emails. Whatever your business is, if people are coming to your website for any reason, what you want is to get them, well, first you want them to make a purchase. So you should have some way for them to hire you or buy from you. But the second thing, if they're not ready to buy, if they're still like a cool lead, but they're they're going to your website for any reason, is you want to have good ways to get their emails. Now, the problem is nobody wants to sign up for a newsletter just to be on your newsletter. And so that's why I'm going to jump forward here. You need to also be giving away something for free on your website. So think about your website as the hub, but then think about what is something that I can give away that is for free that's going to solve my customer's problem. This is another way where you can make them the hero and you can play the guide. If you can give something away that is valuable for free in exchange for their email, you're building your trust with them as a guide, and B, you're building your email list, which is one of your primary goals. So website and freebies. The other thing that you should be doing probably is video. This is one of the things I think is really great about this series about your business in the time of coronavirus. Video is it does a few things. One, this is where I was saying, as a business owner, become the face of your business. If you haven't been that, become the face again of your business. YouTube. Post it on your social media, post it on your website, and host your videos on YouTube. That's great. Using Facebook Live. Talk about the realities of what your family's going through, but especially talk about what is happening with your customers. Talk about great stories you've heard from people that you work with. Talk about whatever you can to center your customer, but also make that human-to-human empathetic connection. And then Instagram stories are another place to do that. Now, what I would say with video is what you want to do is use that video to try to drive people to your website where you're giving away something for free so that you can get their email. So these are all of these things are kind of built together into one system here. So website, freebies, video, and then the last thing is you want to be using email and text marketing as much as you can. So like I said, these things are all tied together. Once you've got their email address, about is slowly and consistently through email and through text. Those are the two. People are on the phones and they're in front of their computer more than ever before, and so both of those channels are going to be really effective. That's not to say you shouldn't be doing some of your traditional marketing. If you do mailers, or if you, I guess, billboards. Some people do billboards. I'm not a huge fan of some of that traditional marketing, primarily because it's hard to track. And so it might be working, but it's hard sometimes to know if you're getting a good ROI on those things. Not just because it's hard to know. With email and text marketing, you can track specifically how many people are clicking and what's gonna happen. All right, let's talk about some of the big challenges right now. So what's your budget? I said at the beginning that companies that continue to market are the ones that are going to survive. And I really believe that that's true, but it's hard right now, right? We all have tighter budgets. I would guess that pretty much everyone on this call, if you're a business owner, you've probably seen a dip in your revenue, except maybe if you own a grocery store. I know that numbers are way up in the grocery sector, but and I don't have a specific answer for this. One thing I would say is think about what were you spending on marketing before as a percentage? There's no hard and fast rule around this, but I've heard companies use, like a 6% number is pretty good. 6% of your revenue should go back into marketing. And so you may want to take that, come up with your own percentage and look at, what do I need to survive? And then figure out, okay, if I need, $200,000 in revenue over the next 6 months, then I should be putting aside, something like $12,000 to go towards marketing. So find some money somewhere. The other piece, though, is everything either costs time or it costs money. And so when you're thinking about marketing, there's not always a one-to-one exchange on that, but it can be pretty close. If you're a business owner and you don't have as many customers, maybe you have more time. or maybe you just don't have any money. And in that case, you need to find the time. So when I think about a marketing budget, I'm thinking about a combination of these things. And so it's not just about money, but if you don't have money, you have to find the time. You can't just assume that you can spend $100 here, $100 there, and that's going to carry your business through. You need to spend more time creating organic content for your social media. You need to find ways to get in front of your customers, your ideal clients with video. You need to be spending more time reaching out to them individually. If you've got a budget though, then you can pay someone else to do marketing for you, or you can spend money on Facebook ads, or whatever, radio, TV, whatever you have. But you do need to find a way to have a budget that is a combination of these two things. And you need to find a way to carve that out. If you are really busy as a business owner right now, but none of that time is going into your outreach and marketing, you need to find a way to budget more of your time to go towards that. All right. Here's what I like to say to people. The system you have is perfectly designed to give you the results that you're currently getting. So if you're not happy with the results that you're currently getting, you need to do something different. You need to think differently about your system. I think that this is true, especially now. I think a lot of companies had a pretty decent and good system for getting customers and generating revenue. But the truth is, things have changed. You don't, if your revenue is down because of coronavirus, and it is, you probably need to change something. This kind of goes back to this idea of pivoting or preparing for the future. And so what can you do now that is going to give you better, or at least different results? So this is the marketing checklist that I give to just about anyone. So first thing, you need to have a real plan. I don't believe in random acts of marketing. You can't just throw money at your website. What really works is when you sit down and you have a strategic plan of what you're going to do and when you're going to do it. Then you need to build a funnel. I'm going to talk a bit more about that. You need to find ways to attract customers, and then you need to test and adjust what you're doing so that you can improve your ROI. So when I say a plan, this is what I mean. You need to have a budget. That's your money and the time that you're going to put into your marketing. Then you need to figure out what exactly you're going to do. And then you need to come up with a schedule. And when I say schedule, I like to think about that as your kind of month-to-month marketing plan. You can't do everything at once. So what do you prioritize? What are you going to do first? And then what's going to happen? I work with a lot of companies to help them develop this sort of plan. The other piece that's in here that I actually think of as like 1B is really thinking about the messaging. What are the words that you're using to communicate with your customers? How are you helping them? How are you showing them to be the hero and positioning yourself as the guide? The messaging is a really important part. And I think of that really right at the beginning as something that is helpful as you're developing your plan. The second thing that you need to do is build your funnel. And so what I mean by that is that you need a way for people to start hearing about you all the way through turning them into a paying customer. An example of a funnel is you use social media or cold calling or one-on-one networking or TV ads or whatever it is to drive people. The asterisk is really to say this can be anything, but you need to drive people to your website. You need to find a way to get them onto your email list. Then you need to send out an automated email sales sequence. So this is something that just goes out to them after they've signed up. And then that is the thing that turns them into the paying customer. It helps nurture them along and gives them those multiple points of contact that you need. And it helps you build trust with your customer. So the first thing that you should do is work on the messaging on your website. So it's clear and that it's the words that people read are the things that are going to get them to take action. So you want them to, on your website, to take that action. Then you're going to need to create a freebie that you can give away. That's to get people on your email list. And then you need to write a sales sequence. so that you can turn them into a customer, nurture them over time. Once you've got those things done, you want to set up your system first. That's your funnel. Then you can start spending money. This is the biggest thing that people get wrong, is the order that they do their marketing in. A lot of companies, a lot of other agencies, in fact, will pitch you on paid ads or paid search or SEO or managing your social media. And they'll say, we're just going to get more traffic to your site. Well, that's a great idea if your site is built to convert. And if the messaging is set up right, if you have a good funnel for people to get onto your email list, if all of that is working well, then paying to get more people to your website is a great investment. But what's really a bad investment is to send people to a website that isn't converting. And that's why I always think that setting up this funnel and getting your system in place first is so important before you start spending money. And so when I say, companies that market during a crisis are the ones that are going to survive and grow, what I don't mean is that you just need to start spending more and more money and paying it to Google and to Facebook. What I mean is that you need to be thinking about, how are you communicating with your customers? How are you creating trust? How are you showing empathy? And how are you reaching new people? A lot of that has to do more with the soft side of things, the words that you use, the messaging, how are you making connections before you just start spending money on ads. But like I said, after you've got your funnel set up, then that's a good time to start spending money on in some way to drive more traffic to your site. The last part of this checklist that I've got here is to test and adjust. So you should always be looking at your analytics. You should be thinking about new tactics, and you should be A/B testing whatever you do so that you can make better decisions, so you can put more money into the things that are working, and you don't have to spend as much money on the things that are not working. Right now, there are some things that are not working. And so you should be rethinking where you're spending your money and how, the different channels that it's going to. Get the analytics and track your results. It's okay to pause on something as you try to figure out a new way. Again, I just want to say, you need to be spending more time and money probably marketing now than ever before, but that doesn't mean you should just do it blindly or that you should just keep doing what you've always done. Now's a good time to think about your focus and how you can do that better. All right, this is my last slide. So I've got a checklist. My company is Banker Creative. We put out a resource called The Internet is Open, which is all about creating a funnel. Those 4 steps that I talked about. It tackles them in just a little bit of a different way, but it covers all of those things. And so if you're interested in getting more information on this, go to our website there, Banker Creative. The Internet is Open, to get that checklist. And with that, that's all that I've got for my presentation. But if there are any questions that you folks have, or Tom, if there's anything you want to kind of take the conversation or dig into something deeper, let's go there.
Yeah, sure. No, I appreciate it. Great presentation. And I think that what you shared here, it's useful for our own business. And, for those of you tuning in here, Matt and his team helped redesign our website and messaging. So if you like our website and you like our messaging, Matt and his team are the people behind it. So, so call him if you're looking for that. So,
especially if you're as good of a customer as Tom and as lovely to work with. He's been one of the folks that we've really enjoyed working with over the last couple of years.
Oh, well, thank you. Well, I appreciate that. Well, and this is, I know the quality of the product and the work and the dedication and really the ability of Matt and his team to really dig into understanding your business and your customers' needs and helping tell that story. So I think communicating that story and the remembering that it's about your customer and their journey, not about your journey, I think that's a great reminder and point here to bring up to the people tuning in and listening. It's so hard when especially in the crisis right now, when you're sitting there and it's like, oh, I need money, I need revenue, I need customers, to say, oh, buy from me. So that's a hard thing. What are you seeing, Matt, with your own customers, or how people are trying to combat that natural reaction?
Yeah, I think it's a challenge, right? There's, just to be honest, there's a lot of fear, I think, among business owners and among customers that are out there. And I think the tendency is to reach out and kind of I don't want to say, I don't know if this is exactly how it is, but there's a little bit of like, please pity me and spend money at my company. And I think that that's a really bad perspective to take as a company. Now, you have to be self-disciplined. You have to think, I do have some fear right now. I'm worried about my own business, but you really need to put yourself in the shoes of your customers and be trying to interact with them on that level. What you should be doing, I think, when it comes to your own concerns, is it's great to have a community of other business owners or people that you can connect with who are in the same boat, and you can talk about those things there, and you can help problem solve and figure things out. We all need that sort of community to help us get through these times, I think, or at least I think that that's incredibly beneficial. But when you're speaking to your customers, you want to be speaking from a position of strength. And that means talking to them at their level. How can I solve your problems? Not, I need money, please buy from me. Nobody, and the reason it's not that people don't love your business and don't want it to be supported, but we all have limited resources right now. And if you're not helping speak to how you're going to help your customers survive and thrive, they just can't burn the calories to pay attention to you. They're not gonna click. They're not gonna listen to you unless you can be clear about how can I help you accomplish your goals. That's the thing that's really going to resonate.
Yeah, no, that's great feedback there. I think your checklist is spot on. So I'm actually watching this, I'm thinking, I don't know if I have your checklist. I think I need to go get that, and I need to go through it and make sure that we're doing all of the things that you have on your list there, because those are great talking points. And so I think that, to me, I love the message that you said about, don't go spend when you hear this idea that other marketers or other experts are saying, oh, well, you got to keep marketing or double down or what have you. But I really like the way that you position this, to say, go out, and yes, you need to spend money, but it needs to be spent wisely. If you're throwing it at a website that isn't converting, what's the point? It doesn't make any sense. Or your ad, you don't have that lead magnet, or that PDF, or the coupon that you're giving away, or something that's getting someone to click and give you their email. What's the point? You can spend a lot of money on marketing with no results. Yeah,
it's really important to be smart, and I think we have kind of a mantra on my team about humans marketing to humans, and so this human to human connection is really important right now. And when you focus on things like your messaging and how you're showing empathy and connecting with your customers as a guide, this is a great time to do that. It's not something that's going to be obsolete because the algorithm changes in the future. If you're communicating that sort of human to human message, that's always going to have value in the marketplace when it comes to your company. And right now, there are some companies, I know, Tom, you work with a lot of franchisors. I would guess that a lot of people are not, the market for people buying franchises, I'm sure it's slowed down. That doesn't mean that it's going away, but what you want to be doing as a franchisor, if you're looking to sell franchises, you want to be developing trust and loyalty with people. You want to be positioning yourself as the company, the type of business that is there for the community that they're in, and that is there, help. If you have a series of franchise franchisees that you're leading. How can you be helping them? How can you be supporting them? That's the kind of stuff. It's not traditional marketing, but when you're really pouring into your team and your network, the people that depend on you, you're developing a reputation as a person who cares about their success. And that's the sort of thing that's going to pay dividends down the road. And so you can think of it as a part of what you're doing as marketing. Now, I would recommend finding ways to kind of document that and capture testimonials and things from your people when you're able to help them out and use that in your marketing. But yeah, sometimes that's kind of where I think of that idea of preparing right now. You may not, some companies just don't have the option to increase sales. There's not a market. There's not enough of a market to replicate maybe what you had before, but it's a great opportunity to be building trust and loyalty for your brand and as a trusted guide for your community. That's the sort of thing that is going to have a lot of benefit in the future.
Great. I thank you. That's great advice. While we have Matt still, are there any questions that have come up? I haven't seen anything come through the chat box. Anything else from our attendees here that they might want to share or ask Matt while we have him?
I've got a question, Tom.
Sure.
So I've heard some other people in your space talking about, recession marketing and how you should kind of pivot your message, and specifically saying that you should be answering the questions, how can you help people make money, or how can you help people save money? Could you agree with that? And could you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, I think at a basic level, I definitely agree with that. It goes back to that everyone's looking to survive or thrive. And if I had to guess, everybody's kind of moved at least one rung down that, hierarchy of needs chart. And so saving money or making money is an incredibly important thing right now to be focused on. I think that's one of the main problems that you can solve for your customers. I think the only thing that I would say is I never think that it's a good idea to compete on price primarily. You want to, I think that when you have good messaging, you can do a better job. And that's not to say you may need to adjust some of your prices, or you need to focus on, a saving or making money strategy. But I don't think what that means is that you should just try to race to the bottom in terms of the pricing of your own product or service. People are not looking for the cheapest thing. They're looking for the person that can solve their problem. And so I would say, to your point, a lot of times it comes down more to messaging than it does to actual, in some ways, the actual product that you're or service that you're providing.
Great, thank you. Yeah, thank you. Great question, Yvonne. Thank you. Well, Matt, with that, I would like to just thank you for your time. And we will be sharing this on a replay. So if this is something that you're tuning in and you'd like to share it with other business owners or friends or people you know of that could benefit from this that maybe weren't thinking about it, please do share. We should have that going out no later than Monday. The replay link will be live and available for your viewing and sharing. So thank you again for tuning in for another Navigating the Coronavirus Economy here. Matt, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, Tom. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.